We saw two strikingly different views of the media as the presidential handoff took place. At President Obama's last news conference, he paid tribute to the notion of a free press.
You're not supposed to be sycophants. You're supposed to be skeptics. You're supposed to ask me tough questions. You're not supposed to be complimentary, but you're supposed to cast a critical eye on folks who hold enormous power.
In an interview with Fox and Friends, President Trump offered a darker view of the media as the reason behind his Twitter taunts.
What about Twitter? Are you going to continue to tweet?
Yeah, look, I don't like tweeting. I have other things I could be doing. But I get very dishonest media, very dishonest press.
Joining us now is Susan Ferricchio, chief congressional correspondent for the Washington Examiner. So what do you make of the contrast between the Obama send-off, all those specials on TV and front-page series, the New York Times writing about what books he likes, and the Trump transition, in which I would say he received no honeymoon?
None. Well, you just laid it out right there. Two completely different approaches by the media toward these two distinctly different people. I mean, they're both different. The way they handle the media, the way they handle themselves in public, and the media's responded accordingly.
And Barack Obama, you know, wasn't always friendly to the press, particularly when it came to investigations, leak investigations, eavesdropping, getting reporters' emails.
They were spying on reporters. James Rosen here at Fox News. That's what's interesting about this. I mean, Rosen called the Obama administration the greatest threat to press freedom in a generation because they were so lacking in transparency and so, you know, the way they cracked down on whistleblowers. They wanted to really keep FOIA requests from going through. Yet the press was still quite easy on him as a president, despite the fact that, you know, he did have this reputation that was not talked about much, and he was not pressed on it much. Yet they still had sort of a friendlier relationship with him, especially if you compare it to Trump.
Sean Spicer was on the program last week talking about whether or not the plan that seemed very active to move the reporters out of the White House press room to some larger quarters, which would be across the street or across the campus or whatever. Trump addressed that and kind of settled it on that, in that Fox and Friends interview. Let's watch.
Press briefing room, are you going to move it?
So we said we're going to move it to a larger room in a nearby area, but, you know, not the same area. And the press went crazy, so I said, let's not move it. But some people in the press will not be able to get in.
So did the media kind of win that skirmish because the press went crazy and Trump decided that it's not worth the battle?
I don't think the outcome is clear yet. They could possibly move people. I think the Trump administration, as Kellyanne Conway said this morning, wants to change the terms of the relationship between the press and the president. And that makes sense because clearly there's a war going on, clearly, between the press and Trump. Trump said it yesterday in front of CIA headquarters. We can argue all day who started it, whose fault it is, but I don't know anyone right now who can say honestly, that the press is going to fairly cover this president, because it seems to me they've already set themselves up as sort of the enemy of Trump. And I read their Twitter feeds, I watch their coverage, I saw the inaugural coverage. It just doesn't seem fair to me, and I think that's why Trump is trying to redefine things and trying to level the playing field.
You do get a different level of snarkiness and maybe true feelings on the Twitter accounts of some of these reporters. Now, let's talk for a moment about the impact of partisan viewing habits. Pew Research did a poll. Fox was cited as the main source of election news by the most people. But when you break it down, Trump voters, 40% said Fox was their main source, CNN 8%, Facebook 7%, NBC 6%. Hillary Clinton voters, CNN 18%, MSNBC 9%, Facebook 8%, local TV 8%. So Hillary Clinton voters were more diverse in their viewing habits, but a lot of Trump voters watch Fox.
Country's divided, and so they're dividing their viewing habits. I think yet the inaugural coverage ratings bear out the same evidence, that a lot of people were watching Fox News for the coverage because if, you know, as Trump supporters, you turn on CNN or MSNBC, I mean, they're talking about a dark speech, and then over on Fox News, they feel the coverage is more fair. So clearly there is a divide in the country in their viewing habits.
People watch the coverage on Fox News, even in the broadcast networks, and more than twice as much as CNN and MSNBC combined. So that is telling as well. Susan Ferricchio, great to see you.